Chapter 1. The Encounter. As I stepped out of the crisp evening air and into the warm glow of the restaurant, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief wash over me. A successful businessman in my mid-60s, I'd spent the day closing deals and crunching numbers, but nothing could have prepared me for the surprise waiting at table 12. Her name was Sophia, a whirlwind of energy and laughter, with eyes that sparkled like diamonds in the dim light. We collided, literally, as she rushed to greet her friends, and I stumbled backward, apologizing profusely as I regained my footing. The apology became a conversation, which morphed into a connection, all under the watchful eye of the restaurant's attentive staff. Sophia's infectious enthusiasm was impossible to ignore. Her laughter drew me in like a magnet. As we chatted, I found myself sharing stories about my business ventures and family, and before I knew it, hours had slipped away. As the night wore on, Sophia regaled me with tales of her own adventures, traveling the world, working as a freelance writer, and indulging in her passion for photography. Her zest for life was like a shot of adrenaline straight to my heart, a reminder that there's more to existence than spreadsheets and profit margins. As we parted ways, Sophia handed me her business card, inscribed with a quote from her favorite poet, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I tucked it into my pocket, the words echoing in my mind like a challenge. For a moment, our eyes locked, and I sensed something more, a spark that hinted at the possibility of reconnection. The thought sent a thrill through me, as if the universe was nudging me toward a midlife reboot. Little did I know, Sophia's arrival would set off a chain reaction, disrupting my carefully constructed life and relationships in ways both exhilarating and unsettling. As I walked back to my car, the night air filled with the sounds of laughter and music, I couldn't help but wonder, what secrets lay hidden beneath Sophia's vibrant exterior? And what lay ahead for me, now that my status quo had been so deftly disrupted? The encounter had left me feeling like a puzzle piece, slightly out of place. But as I drove away from the restaurant, the quote on Sophia's card kept echoing in my mind. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I couldn't help but feel drawn to the unknown, to the thrill of discovery and transformation. The midlife reboot had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. Chapter 2. The Aftermath. I spent the next few days in a daze, replaying our encounter in my mind like a favorite song on repeat. Sophia's words lingered, like a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of my subconscious. Comfort zone, indeed. It seemed I'd been stuck in neutral for far too long. The morning after our meeting, I found myself wondering what she looked like without her signature bright red lipstick and stylish haircut. The image that formed in my mind was tantalizing. Sophia's eyes sparkling with mischief, her hair a wild tangle of curly brown locks. I chuckled to myself, feeling like a teenager caught daydreaming about the new girl in school. The days passed, and our paths continued to cross. We'd meet for coffee or lunch, exchanging stories and laughter as if we'd known each other for years. Sophia's infectious enthusiasm was contagious. Her zest for life began to seep into my own existence. I found myself reevaluating my priorities, questioning the choices that had brought me to this point. One evening, as we strolled along the riverfront, Sophia turned to me with a mischievous glint in her eye. "You know what's missing from your life?" she asked, her voice husky and conspiratorial. I shook my head, intrigued. "Adventure," she declared, her eyes sparkling like diamonds in the fading light. "You're stuck in a routine that's suffocating you. It's time to shake things up." Her words struck a chord deep within me. The thought of leaving behind the predictable comfort of my life was both exhilarating and terrifying. But as I gazed into Sophia's eyes, I knew I had to take the leap. The following weekend, Sophia invited me to join her on a spontaneous road trip to the coast. "No planning, no regrets," she said, her voice full of excitement. I hesitated for a moment before agreeing, and that was all it took. The wheels were set in motion, and there was no turning back. As we hit the open road, the wind blowing through my hair, I felt a sense of freedom wash over me. Sophia's infectious energy was palpable. We laughed and joked, our spirits soaring like seagulls on the coastal breeze. The drive became a blur of music, stories, and shared laughter as we explored hidden coves and rugged cliffs. The sun dipped into the ocean, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, a breathtaking sunset that left me breathless. As we stood at the edge of the waves, watching the stars twinkle to life in the night sky, Sophia turned to me with an impish grin. "You know what's missing from your life?" she whispered, her eyes sparkling like diamonds once more. I smiled knowingly, feeling a sense of anticipation building within me. "This," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. "Whatever this is, it's exactly what I've been missing." Sophia's laughter was music to my ears as we stood there, the world around us fading into the distance, leaving only the two of us, suspended in the moment. The midlife reboot had officially begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. Chapter 3: The Turning Point. As we walked along the beach, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore seemed to echo Sophia's words. "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." It was as if the universe had conspired to bring me to this moment, where I could finally confront my fears and doubts. Sophia's presence had been a catalyst for change, nudging me out of my complacent routine. But it wasn't just her enthusiasm that had sparked a transformation within me. It was also the realization that I'd been living someone else's dream, not my own. As we strolled along the shoreline, Sophia turned to me with a serious expression. "You know, I've been watching you from afar. You're a man stuck in a life that's no longer fulfilling." Her words were like a slap of cold water on my face, jarring, yet necessary. I felt a surge of defensiveness at first, but Sophia's eyes held a deep understanding and empathy. She wasn't judging me, she was simply pointing out the obvious. I took a deep breath, letting her words sink in. "You're right," I admitted, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. "I've been going through the motions for years, pretending that everything is fine when it's not." Sophia's smile was like a ray of sunlight breaking through the clouds. That's the first step towards change, acknowledging the truth. She paused, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Now, are you ready to take the leap and see where life takes you?" I hesitated for a moment, the uncertainty of it all making my heart race like a runaway train, but Sophia's words echoed in my mind. "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." With a newfound sense of determination, I nodded, feeling the fear give way to exhilaration. As we walked back to our car, the stars twinkling above us like diamonds on black velvet, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The midlife reboot had reached its turning point, and I was ready to take the wheel. The drive back home was quiet, each of us lost in our own thoughts as the night air filled with the sound of crickets and distant traffic. When we finally arrived at my doorstep, Sophia turned to me with a mischievous glint in her eye. "I have an idea," she said, her voice low and conspiratorial. "Why don't you join me on another adventure? One that will take us even further out of our comfort zones?" I smiled, feeling the thrill of uncertainty mixed with excitement. "Count me in," I replied, my heart racing like a drumbeat. As we shared a long, lingering look, I knew that Sophia and I were about to embark on a journey that would change the course of our lives forever. Chapter 4: The Leap of Faith. Sophia's idea was like a siren's call, irresistible and alluring. She proposed we take a hot air balloon ride over the countryside, watching the sunrise from above the treetops. I hesitated for a moment, my mind racing with doubts and fears. But Sophia's enthusiasm was contagious. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she described the experience. "You'll see the world from a new perspective," she said, her voice full of conviction. "It's like looking at life through a different lens." I took a deep breath, feeling my fears give way to anticipation. With Sophia by my side, I knew we could face whatever lay ahead. The morning of our hot air balloon ride arrived, and I woke up feeling like a kid on Christmas morning. The excitement was palpable as we made our way to the launch site. As we watched the balloon inflate with fiery passion, I felt my heart racing in time with the burner's roar. Sophia's laughter echoed through the morning air, infecting me with her joy. We lifted off the ground, soaring above the treetops like birds set free. The world below us was a tapestry of green and gold, stretching out to the horizon. As we floated above it all, I felt my senses come alive. The sun's warmth on my skin, the rush of wind in my hair, and the endless expanse of sky above me. It was as if I'd left my worries and doubts on the ground below. Sophia turned to me with a mischievous grin. "You know what this reminds me of?" she asked, her eyes sparkling like diamonds. "What?" I replied, feeling the thrill of adventure coursing through my veins. A leap of faith, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Sometimes you have to take a chance and trust that everything will work out. I nodded, feeling a sense of understanding wash over me. In this moment, surrounded by the beauty of nature, I knew Sophia was speaking directly to my soul. As we drifted higher into the sky, the world below us grew smaller, like a tiny toy village, and I felt my heart fill with a sense of wonder. It was as if anything was possible from up here. The balloon ride ended all too soon, leaving me feeling invigorated and inspired. As we packed up our gear, Sophia turned to me with a knowing glint in her eye. "You know what I think?" she asked, her voice low and conspiratorial. "What?" I replied, my heart still racing from the experience. "I think this is just the beginning of your midlife reboot," she said, her smile spreading like sunshine across the landscape. "And I'm honored to be along for the ride." As we walked back to our car, the morning sun shining down on us like a blessing, I knew that Sophia and I were about to embark on an adventure that would take us further out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. Chapter 5: The Art of Letting Go. As we drove back from the hot air balloon ride, Sophia's words lingered in my mind like a gentle breeze on a summer day. "I think this is just the beginning of your midlife reboot," she had said, her smile sparkling with mischief. I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and trepidation as I contemplated the unknown. What lay ahead? Would Sophia be by my side every step of the way? The drive was quiet, each of us lost in our own thoughts as the morning sun cast its golden glow over the landscape. When we finally arrived at her place, she invited me in for a cup of coffee and a chat. As we sat on her couch, surrounded by art supplies and colorful tapestries, Sophia leaned forward with a mischievous glint in her eye. "I have an idea," she said, her voice low and conspiratorial. "Why don't you join me for a painting class? It'll be a great way to express yourself and let go of any doubts or fears." I hesitated for a moment, my mind racing with skepticism, but Sophia's enthusiasm was infectious. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she described the experience. As we arrived at the art studio, I felt my nerves begin to flutter like butterflies in a jar. What if I wasn't good at painting? What if I failed? But Sophia's words echoed in my mind. The art of letting go. I took a deep breath, feeling my doubts give way to anticipation. With Sophia by my side, I knew we could face whatever lay ahead. As we began our painting class, I felt my worries start to fade away like morning mist on the lake. The instructor's guidance was gentle and reassuring. My brushstrokes became bold and confident as I lost myself in the colors and textures. Sophia sat beside me, her own creativity flowing effortlessly onto the canvas. As we chatted and laughed, our paintings began to take shape, a reflection of our inner worlds. As we finished up our masterpieces, Sophia turned to me with a warm smile. "I think you're a natural," she said, her eyes sparkling with pride. "You have a unique style that's all your own." I beamed with pride, feeling my confidence soar like a bird taking flight. In this moment, surrounded by art and creativity, I knew Sophia was more than just a friend. She was a guide on my journey of self-discovery. As we left the studio, hand in hand, I felt the world around us become a canvas waiting to be filled with color and light. The art of letting go had set me free. I was ready to take on whatever lay ahead, knowing that Sophia would be right by my side every step of the way. Chapter 6: The Power of Vulnerability. As we walked out of the art studio, I felt a sense of liberation wash over me. Painting had been a release, a way to express myself without judgment or criticism. Sophia's presence had been a constant reminder that it was okay to be vulnerable. "You know, vulnerability is a powerful thing," she said, her eyes sparkling with insight. "When we're willing to be open and honest, we create space for connection and growth." I nodded, feeling the truth of her words sink in. In my attempts to control and manipulate, I had been shutting myself off from the world. But with Sophia's guidance, I was beginning to understand the value of vulnerability. As we walked through the streets, taking in the sights and sounds of the city, I felt a sense of connection growing between us. It wasn't just about shared experiences or similar interests. It was about being seen and heard. Sophia turned to me with a gentle smile. "You know, I've been watching you for a while now, and I have to say, you're one of the most closed-off people I've ever met." I felt a pang of defensiveness, but Sophia's words were laced with kindness and compassion. "I'm not judging you, my friend," she continued, "but I am inviting you to be more open, to share your thoughts and feelings without fear or expectation." As we stopped at a street corner, waiting for the lights to change, I felt a sense of hesitation. What if I opened up too much? What if people judged me? Sophia's eyes locked onto mine, filled with empathy and understanding. "Vulnerability is not about being weak or powerless," she said. "It's about being brave enough to be real. And trust me, my friend, you are strong enough to handle whatever comes your way." The lights changed and we continued walking. As we strolled through the city streets, I felt a sense of freedom growing inside me. Freedom from the need to control and manipulate. Freedom to be myself without apology or expectation. Sophia's words echoed in my mind. Vulnerability is the power of being real. And with that realization, I knew that our journey was just beginning, one of self-discovery, growth, and connection. Chapter 7, The Gift of Imperfection. As we walked through the city, Sophia's words continued to resonate within me. Vulnerability was not about being perfect, it was about being real. We stopped at a small cafe, and over steaming cups of coffee, Sophia shared her own struggles with imperfection. "I used to think that I had to be flawless, that any mistake or flaw would define me," she said, her eyes sparkling with empathy. "But then I realized that imperfection is what makes us human. It's what allows us to grow, to learn, and to connect with others." As we sipped our coffee, I felt a sense of understanding wash over me. Imperfection was not something to be ashamed of. It was something to be celebrated. Sophia smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "You know, my friend, you're not perfect either, and that's okay." I laughed, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. "Thanks for reminding me," I said, shaking my head in self-acceptance. As we left the cafe, Sophia turned to me with a mischievous glint in her eye. "Want to do something fun?" she asked, her voice full of excitement. I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What did you have in mind?" Sophia grinned. "Let's go to a karaoke bar and sing our hearts out, imperfection and all." I laughed, feeling my inhibitions melt away. "Why not? Let's do it." As we belted out our favorite tunes, laughter and song filling the air, I felt a sense of freedom and joy that I had never experienced before. Sophia turned to me, her eyes shining with delight. "See, my friend, imperfection is what makes life beautiful. It's what allows us to be ourselves, flaws and all." As we left the karaoke bar, hand in hand, I knew that our journey was not just about self-discovery, but also about embracing imperfection and living life to the fullest. And with that realization, I felt a sense of gratitude towards Sophia, for showing me that it's okay to be imperfect, for helping me see my own worth, and for being a constant reminder that we are all works in progress. Chapter 8, The Power of Presence. As we left the karaoke bar, I felt a sense of euphoria wash over me. Singing with Sophia had been a liberating experience, one that had allowed me to let go of my fears and inhibitions. As we walked through the city streets, Sophia turned to me with a gentle smile. "You know, my friend, you're not just present when you're singing. You're present in every moment, no matter what you're doing." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her words. "What do you mean?" Sophia's eyes sparkled with insight. "Most people are so caught up in their thoughts and worries that they forget to be present. They miss out on the beauty of life because they're too busy thinking about the past or worrying about the future." I nodded, recognizing the truth in her words. I had spent years trapped in my own thoughts, missing out on the world around me. Sophia's voice was filled with conviction. "But when you're present, everything changes. You start to see the beauty in everyday moments, even in the midst of chaos and uncertainty." As we stopped at a street corner, waiting for the lights to change, Sophia took my hand in hers. "Let's practice being present," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. I nodded, feeling a sense of curiosity wash over me. What did it mean to be present? And how could I cultivate that sense of presence in my daily life? Sophia guided me through a series of simple exercises, focusing on the sensation of our hands touching, noticing the sounds and smells around us, and simply being with each other. As we stood there, hand in hand, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. It was as if I had finally found a sense of peace that had eluded me for so long. Sophia's voice was filled with wisdom. Being present is not about achieving some kind of inner state or feeling a certain way. It's simply about showing up, just as you are. As we walked away from the street corner, I felt a sense of gratitude towards Sophia for teaching me the power of presence, for helping me see that life is precious and fleeting, and for being a constant reminder to live in the moment. And with that realization, I knew that our journey was not just about self-discovery, but also about cultivating a sense of presence and wonder in every moment. Chapter 9, The Gift of Gratitude. As we continued our walk through the city, Sophia's words lingered in my mind. Being present was not just about being aware of our surroundings, but also about acknowledging the beauty and wonder that life has to offer. Sophia smiled as if she knew exactly what I was thinking. You know, my friend, gratitude is a powerful force. When we focus on what we're thankful for, it shifts our perspective and helps us appreciate the little things in life. I nodded, feeling a sense of curiosity wash over me. How could something so simple have such a profound impact? Sophia's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. Let's try an experiment, she said, her voice filled with excitement. What kind of experiment? I asked, intrigued by her proposal. Sophia grinned mischievously. Let's spend the next hour finding things to be grateful for. Nothing too grand or impressive, just small, everyday things that might otherwise go unnoticed. I laughed, feeling a sense of playfulness wash over me. What could possibly go wrong? As we walked through the city streets, Sophia and I began to notice all sorts of things that we were thankful for. The way the sunlight filtered through the buildings, the sound of children laughing in the park, the smell of freshly baked bread wafting from a nearby bakery. With each new discovery, our gratitude grew, like a snowball rolling down a hill. We laughed and smiled, feeling our hearts fill with warmth and joy. As we stopped at a street corner, Sophia turned to me with a gentle smile. You know, my friend, gratitude is not just about being thankful for the big things in life. It's also about appreciating the small, everyday moments that make life worth living. I nodded, feeling a sense of understanding wash over me. Gratitude was not just a way to acknowledge the good things in our lives. It was also a way to appreciate the beauty and wonder that life has to offer. As we continued our walk, Sophia's words lingered in my mind. Gratitude is the gift that keeps on giving. And with that realization, I knew that our journey was not just about self-discovery, but also about cultivating a sense of gratitude and appreciation for all that life has to offer. Chapter 10, The Gift of Connection. As we walked through the city streets, Sophia's words continued to resonate within me. Gratitude was not just about acknowledging the good things in our lives, it was also a way to appreciate the beauty and wonder that life has to offer. We stopped at a small cafe, where we sat down with steaming cups of coffee and began to reflect on our journey together. Sophia's eyes sparkled with warmth. You know, my friend, connection is the greatest gift we can give each other. It's not just about being present in each other's lives, it's about showing up fully without judgment or expectation. I nodded, feeling a sense of understanding wash over me. Connection was not just about being there for someone else, it was also about being open to receiving and giving love and support. Sophia's voice was filled with conviction. Connection is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built. When we prioritize connection, we create space for intimacy, trust, and understanding. As we sipped our coffee, I felt a sense of gratitude wash over me. Gratitude for Sophia's presence in my life, gratitude for her wisdom and guidance, and gratitude for the opportunity to explore and grow alongside her. Sophia's eyes met mine, filled with warmth and love. I'm grateful for this journey we've shared, my friend. You've taught me so much about resilience, trust, and connection. I smiled, feeling a sense of connection and understanding flow between us. And I'm grateful for you, Sophia. You've helped me see the world in a new light and given me the tools to build meaningful relationships. As we finished our coffee, Sophia took my hand in hers. Remember, connection is a choice. It's not just about showing up, it's about being fully present, without condition or expectation. I nodded, feeling a sense of commitment wash over me. I knew that from this day forward, I would prioritize connection and build meaningful relationships with others. As we parted ways, Sophia whispered in my ear, "And remember, my friend, you are never alone. You are always connected to yourself, to others, and to the world around you. I smiled, feeling a sense of peace and contentment wash over me. I knew that no matter where life took me, I would always be connected to myself, to others, and to the world. And with that realization, our journey came full circle. We had started with a simple question, who am I? And ended with a profound understanding of connection, gratitude, and love.